So this next instance is still in the collars. So chapter 10 in your textbook, it's going to be our stand collar or Mandarin collar. So the stand collar stands up out of the neckline. It's your foundation for your funnel neck or your turtleneck. And it basically follows the same general rules that we started with our convertible collar, where we'll be tracing off our center back to our shoulder, and from our shoulder to our center front. So it's still taking the same lengths from our slopers. And then the height. So the height of a stand collar for a Mandarin is usually about 1.5 inches before it becomes unstable. So we want to maintain about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to just mark off what those measurements are for us again. If I have my imaginary line here, and then this represents my center back. So if we, and knowing that we want to be 1.5 inches in height, so the first measurement that I need to gather is off of my back bodice. And remember, we want to take the length of the center back neck. So and oftentimes what's going to happen is, if you're using these over and over again in your design room, this is 3 1/8. Oftentimes they'll mark on there what those measurements are so you can reference them often. So I will mark on my line 3 1/8, knowing that that is the point where my shoulder is. This is my back neck. And then from my shoulder, remember, now I need to, what we're doing is this. So we're taking our back neck length and then our front neck length, and we're basically stretching them out on a straight line. So now I'm going to measure my front neck. So if again, using my curved ruler here, and this is 5 1/8. 5 5 5/8. So I will mark 5 5/8. Then we want to, from the center front neckline, we want to square up 1/2 inch. And this is where we're going to gently blend that front neckline. So I'm going to go back to my blending tools. I'm going to use my French curve that I have here. And I'm going to gently blend. And you, again, at about a halfway point between these two is where you want the blend to go back in to the neckline, so that that curve line will look like this. Just a gentle curve up at the top of the Mandarin. And then depending on what then you want to square from this line the length. So we were 1.5 inches at our center back. We will maintain the same length at our center front. Or you can have it more tapered into that. And then I'm going to use that 1.5 inches as a guide. Help me with when I'm tracing. And maybe I want this to be shaped at the front neck, so it comes to a point. The classic Mandarin. This is my center back. I would cut that on the fold. And remember, this is just the outer collar. You still have 1/8 inch that you'd want to reduce from here for your facing, which is the second piece you'd want to trace. So 1/8 inch off of that top edge, which would then blend back to that collar point because you need to maintain this neckline. So you're going to be cutting 2 separate pattern pieces, It would be cut 2 on the exterior collar, cut 2 on the facing. Everything would get a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And this is again on page 192 in your textbook.